Opunoho, also known as the Agricultural Valley, is one of the most beautiful sites of the Society Archipelago. According to the first missionaries, this was the ideal place to develop a large sugarcane and cotton plantation. A German trading company developed this rich land. Its operation came to an end during the First World War. In 1925, a 55-meter, 4-mast vessel coming from Honolulu, the Kaimiloa, entered Opunoho Bay. Its owner, Medford Kellum, a rich U.S. businessman, came under the charm of the greeting offered to him by the people of Moorea. The Polynesian banquets, or tama'ara, were sumptuous. The American bought 1,500 hectares of the most beautiful property in Opunoho as a home for his son and his fiancée, Med and Glad Kellum. They soon resumed the agricultural activities of the magnificent estate. With the help of former Chinese coolies from Tahiti, the land prospered. From that point onwards, an important Chinese community settled for good on the island. Today, Moorea has 12,000 inhabitants. On this prosperous island, the population has doubled over the past 30 years. In times past, copra was its main export product. A territorial subsidy has made it possible to maintain this activity and for many households to subsist on their island. Today, copra production has stabilized at 80 tons per year. The good economic health of Moorea is the result of a well-thought-out policy that began with the presence of the first missionaries. A policy followed by the successive governors up until the advent of self-government. John Teariki, the deputy and mayor of Moorea, who died 20 years ago, was one of its most well-known citizens. To him, the island owes the main pillars of its economy and stability. Insofar as the tourist industry is concerned, he is at the origin of the absence of electrical posts along the roadside. In 1970, thanks to him and Quito Brown Ortega, the first ferry boats arrived on the island and enabled Moorea to grow out of its isolation. Agricultural development has been truly successful. The fields of pineapple are prolific. You can go take a fine excursion proposed by the tourist guides that will enable you to meet with the farmers.
Tirai Haroa, that's my family name. My first name is Edwin. In 1947, I met a young girl, my future wife. And that same year we were married. I have 14 children. That's my story. We had a big meeting here in Moorea because they were going to set up a factory, a pineapple juice factory, but there was no land. Luckily, we asked the chief, could you give us some land? For us, the people of Moorea. So we planted on it, all of it. Yeah, right up there, just behind me. The land belongs to the state, and they wrote up contracts for us some 30 years ago, and we started to work. We're still working the land. I was called into the Army in 1939 and remained a soldier throughout World War II. I came back here in 1945. I'm the president of the veterans here. I'm 82 now. I have children. And I still keep busy working, and I'm glad to do it.
The fruit of the bromeliad soon imposed itself in all of the valleys. The yearly production is 2,044 tons, of which 200 tons are consumed locally or are processed at the Moorea Fruit Juice Factory. The dream of the missionaries to create a real industry based on a local agricultural production became a reality in 1970. Installed on the heights of Cook's Bay, this factory produced its first liter of pineapple juice 22 years ago. Now why not come here yourself to sample this delicious juice or pineapple liquor in this factory open to the public? In Moorea, horticulture has become a daily reality. This is a sector in full expansion with more than 4 hectares of cut flowers. The tiare flower, the very symbol of Tahiti, grows over 18 hectares. This large, blood red, vivid pink, white or salmon-colored corolla is the hibiscus flower known here as the aute. For botanists, to grow hibiscus is a passion. Thanks to layering techniques, today one can find hundreds of varieties. This flower decorates the tables of all of the hotels and restaurants. Couple created this nursery, which is now run by his son. Present in the family greenhouse as early as 5 in the morning, he takes care of and makes multiple varieties of this hibiscus flower. Vahinas proudly wear the flower in their hair or behind one of their ears. Noni, also known as nono, is a magic fruit. The Polynesians of yesteryear said it had many curative powers. Today, after numerous laboratory studies, the Americans have found proof of its undisputable medicinal virtues. The reputation of this plant in the USA has given rise to many vocations in the islands. Moorea produces 302 tons of nono juice in its factory in Hapiti. Insofar as education is concerned, 3,600 young people attend school in Moorea in 12 school establishments, where the national program is taught by 250 teachers of the first and second degree. The transmission of knowledge and learning takes place in the sister island under privileged conditions. On the spot, the organizing of school trips in the environment makes it possible for students to perfect their knowledge of this generous nature. This is an educational practice well adapted to the inhabitants of the islands. Not to mention special training in sea-related professions. The young students never miss the courses of the Moorea Sailboat School. On the very beautiful road that winds up the mountain viewpoint, the Opunoho Vocational Secondary School provides specialized teaching to the future farmers and breeders of Tahiti and her islands. Open to tourists, this secondary school proposes a glimpse into the educational work and natural resources made available to young Polynesians. Just as this was the case in times past, and according to the Territorial Statistics Department, 70% of the inhabitants of the island still live from picking and fishing activities. Lagoon fishing occupies a very important place in the economy of the island. Fishing methods are quite varied. Apart from the stores, the sale of fish quite simply takes place on the roadside. Generally, the fisherman stands just behind the display unit, and this gives the buyer a chance to inquire where he caught his fish. If the fisherman enjoys his conversation with you, he will not hesitate to offer you a chance to come fish with him. The roadside is often the mirror of the activities of the persons living in the neighborhood. If you find bottles of sea urchins laid out on the roadside racks, you can assume that the fishermen live and fish in the lagoon that extends right in front of you. Some persons prefer to fish outside the reef like Meihei Arapari, a great specialist of vana fishing.
Haha! Well, when you see the film, you're going to want to have some vana. Teva, look, I don't want to cause your mouth to water, but just to show you that vana is the very best seafood in the world. Vana is like that. That's what vana is all about, with the lime that you squeeze on it, and sometimes with a piece of hard bread, toast and butter. You know, I can eat tons of vana like that. So all I want to say, without making you drool, is that vana is the real thing. Wow.
Since the fast ferry boats have come into service, Moorea has come closer to its neighbor, Tahiti. The price of the ticket is attractive and it's easy to make the crossing with one's car. More and more Tahitians live in Moorea and work in Papeete. Transportation by sea between Tahiti and the island of Moorea represented 1,500,000 crossing, of which 250,000 vehicles, 50,000 two-wheeled, and 120,000 tons of freight. The first aerial links between Tahiti and Moorea began thanks to a seaplane. This Bermuda belonged to RAI Airlines. This hydroplane carried the first vacation clients of the Club Mediterranean in 1960. It would land on the water in Paupau Bay. 7 years later, the civilian aerodrome of Moorea Tim'e was opened. This is the fourth airport built in Polynesia after those of Bora Bora, Fa'a, and Rangiroa. In all, French Polynesia has 42 airports spread out over an ocean area of 5 million square kilometers. With its 230,000 passengers per year, of whom 66,000 are tourists, the Moorea Tim'e Airport is, in terms of passenger numbers, the second airport after that of Tahiti Fa'a. Air Moorea makes rotations on the top of the hour starting at 6 o'clock a.m. and which sometimes end, according to needs, well after sunset. Less than 10 minutes are necessary to make the trip to the island. The extraordinary panoramic view one has from the window quickly relieves the stress of the flight that visitors who have just left a jumbo jet sometimes feel on these small airplanes that appear to be miniatures. A trip by helicopter remains the most impressive way to travel to Moorea. Only one company offers this service upon departure from Tahiti Fa'a. The Ekerel helicopter is the ideal means for those who enjoy taking photos and making video films. The landscapes of Moorea then become all the more interesting.